In this video today, we are going to take a look at a very important pattern that has gone unnoticed. That looks like it is not only playing out, it looks like it is reaching its target, and what happens next likely catches a lot of people off sides. If you remember this pattern here that we've been looking at in the market, and if you remember this simple trend line we call the bear market trend line, when it broke out, that was the first repair that took place in the market. And then we had that nice big run up into this horizontal resistance. And from there, we were able to draw this purple line. Now, if you do remember what was taking place in the market, this was in the middle of March. And I sent out this tweet. This was on March the 16th with this image over here. And this image showed you what was taking place in the market. At this particular point in time, most market participants, the majority of market participants, were overly bearish. What I did is I said, look, it's still bullish. This is an inverted chart of the Nasdaq. That means that it is still bearish, even though we had seen that first repair take place. But if the purple line breaks, this could really roll over. The first sell impulse should have been respected. That was the repair off of the bear market trend line. If you want to technically be on the right side of the market, regardless of how you view the market, you have to follow the technicals. And I went ahead and I showed you what that chart looked like going ahead and then reverting it back to what the market was. And when a lot of people looked at this chart, they were able to say without knowing that it was the Nasdaq, because you could see the Nasdaq was not included. They said that, well, that chart, that's really bearish. And then when I let them know that that was just an inverted chart, and then you can see the Nasdaq over here, I think that helped a lot of people understand what their bias might have been in the market. I'm going to do the same thing again right now. And that is even why we're seeing at this point over here, over the last month, as stocks have gone ahead and begun this beautiful ascent upwards, powerful, parabolic looking ascent upwards. Now everyone is bullish. Now, if indeed the time to be bullish was, or technically on the right side all the way down over here, and if you miss that over here, and then at this point you're starting to see everyone all of a sudden posture bullish, do you think that people are ahead of the trade or perhaps behind on the trade? What I'm going to do now is show you, similar how I inverted the chart over here and kind of just help people see their bias, show you a glimpse at what's taking place. Before we get started, if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. Make sure you do go ahead and hit the like button. It significantly helps the channel. And also, please, if you enjoy what's being shared here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, bringing technical analysis alive. I'm starting over here and I'm just showing you this is the same exact chart. Look what happens if I invert this chart, and I'm just going to show you this chart here is the same exact chart as this one over here, except I'm going to go ahead and I just want to see one more time. It's the same exact chart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a couple of lines, and then I'm going to show you an image over here, an image of a Wyckoff distribution pattern. And if you look and you can see the PS over here and the PS here, and then you see over here, you see 1, 2, right? 1, 2. And then you see the LPSY over here, the CZ. It is an exact, look where D happens. The exact same pattern playing out inverted. And that's why I think it has caught a lot of people off guard. So instead of being a distribution pattern, this has been an accumulation pattern off the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and invert that, and you can see that this has been an accumulation pattern that is taking place. And what happens after you see smart money accumulating and then the pattern play out? Well, that's when they take profits, is it not? Let's go ahead and we're going to look at a few different things. I'm going to clean this up for you. I'm going to take off this line, which is not needed on this pattern. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show to you, what I want to show you is if indeed this pattern is playing out, if you were to go ahead and you were to think a little bit outside the box, and even though this is a distribution pattern, if you were to flip it upside down, if you were able to invert it and then kind of see how this could be an accumulation pattern, and then look and see that this pattern is getting close to play out. Do you remember when this pattern became pretty famous across the internet? It was in May of 2021 after it had played out on Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and briefly look at Bitcoin. And it's in this area over here. And you could see the Wyckoff pattern playing out over here. And do you see where this pattern finished? If I go ahead, I just wanted you to see the pattern one more time over here. Do you see the PS? And do you see the bottom of the PS? Look over here on the right. Do you see that price on the Nasdaq right now has currently taken out that low? As it happens here on Bitcoin, when the Wyckoff distribution pattern played out in 2021, here's the PS. Here's the bottom of the PS. And do you see where Bitcoin bottomed in the summer of 2021? Right over here after taking out the low. So I think that could be a warning sign that this pattern here has played out, that potentially then if it's played out, and you could see what happened after it played out last time, you saw this massive move to the upside. Now this move on the upside happened to take out what was the yearly high. Barely took it out. Again, caught a lot of people off sides over here. And then you saw what was a big move. Now, if you were to allow me to take liberty with you all, and let's say that this move has played out. And in just one moment, we're going to look at what would signal to us that this move indeed has played out, and that at best, what we're looking at in the market is a healthy pullback. Not only a healthy pullback that after that completes could go ahead and continue this beautiful rise that we're seeing across the markets, or where that pullback could actually turn into a major sell impulse. And that sell impulse then potentially could, as you saw on Bitcoin, when all of a sudden this Wyckoff distribution pattern finished after taking out the low of the PS, went on that massive move. In this case, inverted, this would be taking out the Nasdaq lows, right? The yearly lows. So if you look at it like that, when we get that pattern to trigger down, it's possible that price takes out the lows. Now, it's not going to be straight down like I'm showing you on this chart. I mean, it could be. This was a pretty strong trajectory that we saw in this case. And then after taking out those lows, likely getting a lot of people very bearish on the markets late at that point in time, that might then be what we saw over here, a place, and we'll look for it. A simple trend line is able to go ahead and let you know. That could then be setting up a big and stronger move that will really take equities to all-time highs. And that's not to say that they can't hold this current beautiful parabolic move that's being put in now and make new all-time highs. That's why we're going to focus in on the technicals so you could see where that's coming from. But what I'm pointing out over here next is now that potentially we've reached the bottom of PS, this pattern could have completed. And if that pattern has completed, they might be taking the market the other way right now. And they might be able to take this market, again, just like on Bitcoin did, and take out that high over here. And that potentially something that you want to be aware of and ahead of. And again, when I talk about be aware of and ahead of, don't forget, back in March, middle of March, most people here were quite bearish on the markets. And I was pointing out to them, well, you missed the first sell impulse, which was a buy over here. And if the purple one breaks, that's likely going to roll over. So let's take a look at what's happening right now in the market. And I have two trend lines that I want you to focus in on. This first trend line over here, as long as price continues to hold that trend line, the market is extremely healthy, and the market has the chance to be looking at taking out the all-time high on the Nasdaq from December and 2021. Now, price right now is not far from it. Price right now is roughly 7.5%, 8% off. Not far at all. If you were to go back into that March, when price in March 16th, when I put out that tweet, as price was 25% off, 23% off, there are very few people who expected, myself included, while I was looking if price broke that purple line to roll over, I didn't expect the velocity to be so tremendously high to the upside. And you could see that high velocity to the upside has actually sent price into what is known as a parabolic move. Now, if this trend line, the parabolic trend line over here, continues to hold, then we could continue shooting high. And as you all know, that markets, when they are overbought, could extend themselves and continue to stay overbought. However, if this trend line breaks, if price closes below it, and right now you're looking at price on a closing basis, if price closes below it, then likely that parabolic move is over and likely a pullback has begun, and that is very healthy for the market. A pullback into the trend line is roughly 7.5%. That is absolutely nothing and extremely healthy if that were to occur. Markets going straight up or straight down are not healthy. That can't last forever. If we saw a pullback into this trend line and price was able to successfully hold it and price was then able to continue up and then take out this high over here, there's a strong chance that price is going to, on the Nasdaq, be able to make a new all-time high. However, if that pullback does enter into the market and price is not able to hold this trend line, if price breaks down from this trend line at that point in time, then we are looking at what could come from a pullback into a larger correction. And we will be making sure at that particular time, we are watching what's taking place in the markets, above all the technicals, staying on the right side of the market. If you're new here, please do subscribe. Do it with us. Work on your skill set. Work with a community that has a long history of being able to navigate these markets. And then at that point in time, just looking at the work we did here today, at least if price were taken at the lows, is not only would not be unexpected, we would be watching as price did take out those lows, what it would look like for price to continue, and or if we were to have any buy impulse, and having the understanding of potentially what that would be. This would be a buy impulse on the Nasdaq, which was a sell on the S&P. On Bitcoin. So that's what we're looking for today. That's what I wanted to bring your attention to, because once again, as most people in this area over here were quite bearish in the market and we were pointing out the technicals. Once again, we need to do that right now. We need to point out the technicals to you, as we do see what looks like an inverse Wyckoff distribution, therefore accumulation pattern having played out and potentially getting to roll over. Thanks for being here, everyone. Have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon.